Hello everybody, this is Douglas with Other Than Intended Purpose. Jack's behind the camera. And the news of my death was slightly exaggerated. I am sorry that it's been so long since we've done a video. I have been having a lot of health problems. The last week of May, I fell really hard enough that I golf ball sized goose egged my forehead, knocked myself actually unconscious, and wound up spending a couple of days in the hospital. Had other things that got hurt too, but that was the one they were focused on because, brains and stuff. But then the first week of June, that aggravated an issue that was being caused by some medication complications. Complications come from having 3 different doctors all worried about stuff with me and giving me medicines, and some of them were overlapping and some of them were arguing with each other. The end result was my blood pressure dropped to 36 over palpitation, which is apparently bad. I wound up spending several days in the ICU with a whole bunch of IVs, including a central line, which they cut your neck and put it into your carotid. That was fun. But I'm back now, and actually with everything being changed up and focused down so that I'm taking less medications, I'm actually feeling better. So we're hopefully going to be back on videos for a while. On to better, nicer news. We are filming this on Tuesday, June 25th. I don't know when you'll see it. Yesterday was my birthday. The day before yesterday, I was visited by my friend Sean. You've heard me talk of Sean. You've met Sean if you watched the video with the welding. That was Sean. And Sean brought me 2 presents. And I dropped one. It's a good thing they're in packaging. These are 2 items that normally, because of where they come from, I would dismiss them out of hand. But I have heard some actually decent things about them, and Sean and I had talked about it. I didn't know he was getting them for me, but we had talked about they're actually surprisingly worth looking at. They both come from Harbor Freight. Yes, I said Harbor Freight. I know. I'm sorry. But that's where they come from. The first one is the Gordon imitation Leatherman Wave. And they don't call it an imitation Leatherman Wave, but it looks so much like a Leatherman Wave, they had to have done it on purpose. But I have actually seen a couple of people talk about this and give it some decent reviews, and it's worth having. It's actually going to probably wind up in one of my kits, so I'm not having to put a more expensive tool there. The other one, also from Gordon, is the 12-piece emergency survival kit. In the past, I have said about pre-made survival kits that they can be more dangerous than helpful because someone with no training and no skills will buy a pre-made kit and says, look, it says survival. If I carry this, I'm good. Truth of the matter is, even if there is really, really good stuff in your kit, 1, no pre-made kit's complete. I will be adding some things to this, I'm sure. And 2, even if you have the best tools in the world, if you don't know how to use them, and I don't just mean use a tool, I mean use the specific tools you're carrying, they don't do you any good. So if you get something like this, this is a starter place. This is something that you build on top of. But when you get, or if you get something like this, or when you get something like this, keep in mind, you need to take your stuff out and practice with it and know how to use it for it to be any good. Lecture part is over. Now we get to dig into these things, and these kind of packages is probably going to be interesting digging into it. So I'm going to start with the multi-tool. And today's opening tool is the Fultz Design CRKT Spec. Because I like cleavers, and this is bigger than the other Foltz designed cleaver neck knife, the minimalist cleaver. This is a really nice little cleaver. We have that, and we have a pocket clip. And there's a whole bunch of stuff on here that I'm probably going to ignore most of because okay, we'll start off looking at the sheath. Pretty standard. It's got the stretchy sides, open at the bottom, so if any crud gets in there, it'll fall out. It's got a belt thing that is big enough for a pants belt, but not big enough for like a field belt or backpack belt. So on the sheath, I'm going to give it not bad. It's fairly decent thickness of nylon. I doubt it's Cordura, but it's very much like Cordura. I'm going to put this away before I run my finger across it and slice me open because it is sharp as hell. Okay, since I just said that it is Leatherman-like, I'm going to bring out Wave-like. This is a Generation 1 Wave, and I carried this for 18 years, something like that. And I believe, Jack, aren't you the one that bought me the Wave Plus for my birthday a couple years ago?
No, I got you the Costco Leatherman special one. I don't remember.
No, that was like a year and a half ago, but like 3 or 4 years ago, I think you got me this for my birthday or Christmas.
I don't know.
But anyway, so we've got a Generation 1 Wave and a Wave Plus, which is the Generation 2 Wave. Looking at them side by side here. Here, bring the camera down.
Hold for jostle.
Or you could have paused. I mean, that is something that is physically possible.
Is it?
I think so.
Huh.
Looking at them side by side, it is actually bigger than the Generation 1. A little bit more squared off than the Wave Plus, but you can see that it is, I mean, even the way they have the pivots, it's we're going to say it's a Wave Plus. Oh, I've been carrying the Plus because it's a little bit heavier pliers. I'll get that in a minute. One thing it has on it that none of the Leatherman come with automatically, well, some do. None of the Waves come automatically with. Is a pocket clip. Although I would most likely use the sheath and the pocket clip becomes irrelevant. But it does have a pocket clip. For people that want to pocket carry, it does have a pocket clip. Staying on the outside. Okay, one of the things I really liked about the Wave is you've got jimping on the back of this blade, and that indicates that it's your serrated blade. So if you're picking it up, not looking, you can feel for that. Now, this one does not want to open one-handed as easily, but that might be because I've been carrying this one for several years and using it almost daily. That has got a gut hook that is sharp. Ay, ay, ay. Actually, I just kind of nicked my finger on that. If you're opening the serrated blade on the brain cramp Gordon version, keep in mind it's got a gut hook on it, and it works. Now, serrated blades are not my favorite. I don't use them very often. I use them for things that are more hacking than slicing. That's a personal taste. Some people like them, some people don't. Continuing on, flipping over, the other side is smooth on both of them. Now, if you look at this, the blade steel on the Leatherman is thicker. Easy open like that. A little less easy open, and it does lock up. The lockup on it is actually right about where you want it. The Leatherman goes a little bit deeper into the lockup. Keep them on these sides and bring them in so they can see how the lockup is. The Leatherman lockup is a little more centered. It's going to be a little bit stronger. But the Gordon does lock, so. What fell?
A stick?
Okay, sticks can fall. Side by side comparison continuing. Okay, on the side that has the straight edge, you have a diamond file and actually I use that for a fingernail file. I don't know what Jen's used it for. Over here, diamond file. A little bit more aggressive, but that also again this is a little bit more aggressive a file than this is. And on the edge of this one is the same grooves that's on this. On the edge of this one is a little bit more, I think. Hand me that little stick. Or hand me this other stick. You're not going to do any real cutting with it, but you can saw a notch. Hold that up there and show them what it did. You can make a notch if you're trying, if I was trying to go deeper and a little wider, I could, but that was just for time. But it would effectively, if you were trying to make something that you wanted to notch your wood so that when you tied it together it didn't roll or slip, that would definitely work. Back to the serrated side. On the Wave, you've got a saw. On the Gordon, you've got a saw. Again, the saw teeth on the Gordon are actually a little more aggressive. I don't know, is that showing up good, Jack?
You're high.
I am not. I don't do that, you know that. There we go. The saw teeth on the Gordon are actually slightly more aggressive. And going on thickness, they're about the same. Now, one of the things I like about Leatherman saws, these are some of the best ferro rod strikers I have ever seen. So when we get into that other one, I'm going to strike it with both of these saws and see how they hold up to each other. Because this one's going to throw sparks. Let me see if this one does. Now, we're done on the outside. Let's get to the inside. What is the reason most of us carry and use Leatherman tools?
In case
Pliers.
there's a cheesecake? You have a
No,
knife.
that's why we have a belt knife. Pliers. I use my pliers more than any other aspect of my tool. On the Leatherman, we've got these replaceable cutters, which some people have had issues with them cracking, but they're replaceable. This one does not have replaceable cutters, but it does have cutters. It does have the hardwire notch in the bottom. They come together actually really well. If you're looking at the tip, they both close up fairly tightly. Now, there we go. They both close up fairly tightly, and they both meet very squarely. So far we're doing, like I said, this is a pretty good copy. Both of them have the rolled edges. Some of my older Leatherman, those edges are a little bit sharp. Doesn't really bother me because I've been doing things with my hands so long that doesn't affect me. But for some people, having those edges a little bit sharp is uncomfortable. Both of them have them rolled over so you have a smooth, easy grip you can squeeze on. Okay, squeezing. They actually have about the same amount of flex with a closed tip and putting the same pressure on them. They have very similar flexes. So far, so good. Now, inside tools. I have no fingernails. I keep my fingernails trimmed down to the quick. If they don't bleed when I trim my nails, I did not do my job right.
I got the same.
On this side, both of them have the replaceable bits that are square. I want to see something. Okay. They're interchangeable. They are straight up interchangeable. There's a little bit of a difference in the locking mechanism. The Leatherman has the tension on both sides. This looks like it's only on the one side and it's not as tensioned, but it's still, it goes in. It comes with a Phillips and a flat. It does not have any other bits. I didn't bring it with me because I don't carry it around all the time, but I do have the bit kit and it gives me a lot more options. I actually stopped carrying the bit kit because two of the things I needed in the bit kit are in my tread that Trina, one of my really good friends, got me for either birthday or Christmas a few years ago. I don't remember. Brain is not my friend, but I do know that it was Trina that got it for me and it was a gift a few years ago. Other side of the tool, what do we have? We have, keep that closed for now. Both of them have a flathead screwdriver, an eyeglass screwdriver that comes out and actually has a Phillips on one side and a flat on the other. This one has a Phillips on one side and a flat on the other. Same. I have only ever used the eyeglass screwdriver one time. I guess I'm just lucky my glasses don't come loose. I know people who have to carry an eyeglass repair kit with extra screws because theirs comes apart all the damn time. I'm lucky, I guess. Closing both of those because they are in the way. Closing both of those because they are in the way. We have a small scissor and a small scissor. I do not see a difference in those at all. Oops, I'm holding them too high again, ain't I? I do not see a difference in those scissors at all. Let's see how they cut. Now this is cardstock. This is heavier. My tabletop is not very flat. My bottle wanted to fall over. Okay, this is some pretty heavy duty cardstock. It's taken a little bit of pressure, but it is cutting it, and the cut is pretty clean. That cut through that like butter. There's no feel. No, it doesn't even really take any pressure. This is a good time to point out, both of these have a compression button to unlock the tool. So I'm going to close this one now to get it out of my way. The tool needs, on this one, the tool does need to be in before you close it because it hit the pliers. This one, okay, it's a little easier going through, but not substantially. I mean, it still takes pressure, and no pressure at all. That's a fully functional scissor. And pliers need to be open for the tool to go in. The tool needs to be in before you close it. I'm gonna say, did I cover everything? Oh, they both have rulers built into the inside of the handles. Again, I've been carrying Leatherman tools. I bought my first Leatherman tool in 1985 when I was in basic training. I have carried 2 Leatherman tools on my belt almost every day since then. When I am inside the VA clinic, inside a VA hospital, or inside a courtroom, I can't carry them. Other than that, I've had them with me every day since 1985. I have never once whipped out my Leatherman tool because I needed to measure 2.5 inches. That sounds really wrong the way I just said it. Actually, it'll measure 7 inches or 9 Canadian units.
9 metrics?
Yes. My wave, same thing. Or actually it's 8 and 9. No. 8 and 19. Yeah. 8 freedom units and 19 other world units.
There's been a bunch of people recently doing like 0.01 mile, or just breaking it down into this many chain.
So
anything except for metric.
Well, when I was doing construction, or when I was not construction, when I was doing architecture, we had to use some of those measurements like chains and furlongs and things like that when we were dealing with the lots. But so from this, I am going to say, not bad. I have definitely seen and used a hell of a lot worse. And for the price, I think he said it was like $20, something like that. So for the price, I'm going to say that this is a win from Harbor Freight. I mean, Leatherman tools are expensive. Most of my Leatherman tools have come to me either as gifts or prizes over the years. I've bought some, but most of them have come to me without me having to make major expenditure. And that being said, they're expensive. They're good. They're worth the money. They really are. But if you can't afford one, that Gordon is actually a viable option. So I know some people are going to be surprised to hear those words come out of my mouth. But the imitation wave from Gordon is not a bad option if money is a deciding factor for you. Or if you've got some Leatherman tools, but you want something you can put in a kit that if something happens to it, you're not going to cry because it's not a $150 tool. But all of that being said, and everything being equal, I am going to say that the Gordon multi-tool, what's the official name on that? Where'd that box go? Can you find the box? Okay, first off, it is called the Gordon 20 in 1 multi-tool. The blade is 5CR15. That is never going to be the best steel you're going to want to carry, but if you are not beating the crap out of it like you would a 1095 field knife, if you're just using it for small tack, cut rope, cut packages, make notches, things like that, 5CR will get you through. I would not pick that. If I was picking a knife to carry that wasn't a multi-tool, I would not pick 5CR. 8CR is 8CR is basically the equivalent of 440. 9CR is a decent budget knife blade if you're needing to spend less than 40 bucks. 5CR was not something I would want as a pocket knife, but as a multi-tool, then in all honesty, my multi-tools, the knife is the least used tool on my entire multi-tool. On my Leatherman, I don't use my knife. I use the tools, which is why I have it. So we're looking at 8CR 15 MOV. Tools, lock and play. It says one-handed blade deployment. Tongue does not cooperate. I'm going to say put a drop of something like Knife Pivot Lube or what's that one that OCD for EDC came up with? Slick 'em all. Something like that. Put one drop of that in there and then work it a little bit, and it might become easily one hand deployable. It took some push on my thumb.
Potentially just work it so it works loose a little bit.
Yeah, you got to break it in a little bit. It will become more one hand openable over time. Saw, knife, file, wire, crimpers, strippers, cutters, multifunction pliers, spring action scissors, bottle and can opener. I didn't bring a can with me, but the can opener on it looked very, very close to what the Leatherman is, and I have opened more than one lunch with my Leatherman tool for us out of a can.
Yes.
Those can openers, you have to practice with them a couple of times so that they aren't clumsy, but once you get good at using those can openers, they're good. There's no need to have some big fancy mechanism. All you need is a hooked blade that you can chip away at the can lid until you can pry it open. I mean, it's good to go. Screwdriver bits. Bits seems a little bit exaggerated. You've got 2 bits. You've got a flat and a Phillips. But if you have a Leatherman bit kit, the bits do move over. They are usable. They are interchangeable. The fit is not perfect with the Leatherman one because it's just like a gnat's naughty bit small difference, but it did go in and it did feel solid enough that I would turn a screw with it. Gut hook, I don't like that. Some people will like that. I do not. When I hunted, I always had a dedicated gut hook that was the only thing it was. It was dull. It was the back of the knife dull on this side, back of the knife dull on this side, had a gut hook, and the gut hook was sharp. That was how I liked my gut hooks, because then I knew when I was pulling that out that it was going to bite me if I let it. Having it on the back of a knife blade seems a little bit not my style. I wouldn't throw it away from that, but I'm saying that I wouldn't say that's a bonus. So we're done with that. This kit. First off, you have a box. Boxes are good. We like boxes. It comes with a flashlight. Amazingly, it comes with a battery. It just has a little plastic, I'll have to pick that up, I dropped it. A little plastic don't make the battery go dead tab, but it actually does come with a battery, and it works. And it's one of them ones that you slide it out and it makes it so it's a smaller, you slide it back and it goes a little bit wider. This is not the brightest flashlight, but in all honesty, I have lights that go up to, good God, the sun has fallen to the ground and he's pointing it at me. I never use those settings, except for one situation, and that's when there's tweakers on our property and I want to scare the shit out of them, but crap out of them. But 99% of my flashlighting is actually on low or medium. And this is, okay, this has got a high, a low, and a epileptic seizure. In all honesty, 99% of the time, because I'm using a light when it's dark, I don't need a whole lot of light to make it less dark. I use low. I would use low on this more than anything else. So I'm going to call this a decent little extra flashlight to have. Uses a AA battery. Those are easy to find. You can get rechargeable AA batteries that will charge off USB. So I have some that the USB plugs right into the battery. You don't even need a charger. You can charge those off your brick, and if you've got a solar brick, you've got fairly reliable battery source there. The next thing on it, it's got a spoon. Says it's a spork, but those tines are down here. Those tines are tiny. I guess you could like scare something with it, but that's a spoon. But hey, you know, if you can't eat it with a spoon, you probably ain't very hungry. It looks like that is designed to hold a extension for 1/4-inch drive bits. I don't know if it is. I didn't know there was going to be a test, so I didn't bring one.
Okay. Yeah, that would fit.
Okay, this is decently strong. Again, this is not a gut hook. That's a bottle opener, because when you're lost in the woods and starving to death, you stumble across a 12-pack, I guess. Okay, factory edge on this is not super sharp.
Hey, someone might just have a 12-pack strapped to the bottom of their to their.
Okay, we're gonna call that, ow. I just cracked my knuckle on the tree stump. We're gonna call that not very sharp, but I am actually going to go home and put an edge on that. Possibly not put an edge on it tonight, because I've got my cousin up for my birthday and we're kind of busy. We're going out to dinner tonight to celebrate. It has a whistle on it. No, it doesn't.
It has an emergency whistle if you have a good set of lungs.
I obviously wasn't blowing hard enough. Okay, we're just gonna leave that on there and call that, because there's another knife. That knife, we're just gonna call this a spoon.
Away from the microphone that I didn't just blow someone's eardrums.
There's other knives involved in this. We're just gonna call that a spoon. So it's got a spoon and a flat. Flashlight ran away from home. There is no part of this stump top that's anything close to level. And it's got a knife. It is a GK24 knife. And it does not say what the steel is. It is a liner lock. And looking at the liner, I just popped it off and snapped it back in, and it is going to about 40%. That is a very decent lockup. There's a piece of plastic covering the pocket clip for some reason. Oh, because the pocket clip's a little bit pointy and sharp. It does have a pocket clip. It is tip down only and not reversible. So it's right hand carry, tip down, pocket clip. I see two methods of deployment. You've got thumb stud, which the detent on it is a little light, so you got to put a little bit of wrist in it to use the thumb stud. And this looks like it would benefit from opening it up and cleaning it, because factories are dirty and it feels like there's some dirt inside that. Yeah. Flipper tab is the same way. I think opening it up, cleaning it, and lubing it will make a huge difference in this. But yeah, it opens. Edge. Okay, the factory edge on this is a lot better than the spoon. Of course, you'd kind of expect it to be better than the spoon. This is two pieces of cardboard with a piece of plastic inside of it. That's a bit of a test, ain't it? Here we go. Acceptable. Not great, but if you are in an emergency, I hate the term survival situation, because sitting in your living room is a survival situation, because if you fail, you don't survive, you're dead. No, I hate the term survival situation because they use it to sell crap, and most of what they're selling is crap.
Life is a survival situation.
If you found yourself in an unplanned camping and exploration event, this would be better than nothing. This would definitely be better than using your multi-tool blade for a lot of the tasks you would want to do. Now, it does come with a little seat belt and paracord cutter, cordage cutter on it, and a glass breaker. I am not a huge fan of those two features on my knives, but again, if this is what I have and I'm in an unplanned camping excursion, I am not going to be angry that I have a seatbelt cutter and a glass breaker on it. I just can't imagine a situation where I would want those two tools as part of my pocket knife. I have other ways to break windows if I'm stuck in a car, and I've got a lot of ways to cut seatbelts if I'm stuck in a car. So we're going to call those zero entities. They're not part of why you would have this on it, in my opinion. If you get this kit, I highly recommend taking this apart, cleaning it, putting just a drop of lube on it, and possibly, where is the detent on it? Okay, the detent's not terrible. It's got some hold on the detent. I think that just cleaning it and lubing it would fix most of the. I mean, you can open it, but you saw I had to use a little bit of wrist. If I don't use any wrist at all when I open this, it doesn't want to go. But I seriously think that cleaning it and lubing it will fix that. More often than not, when a knife comes from the factory, there is going to be goo in the mechanism, just because machine shops are filthy places. All right, toolbox. It has 4 little snap flaps that hold it shut. Does it have a gasket? It has a rubber gasket. I would not call this waterproof, but I would say this is water resistant. It's got some padding in here, and if you don't care about the padding, you can gain that much more space to put whatever you want to in here, because as I said, you're gonna want to
Though potentially the padding might help with flotation.
possibly, but you're gonna want to use this as a base and build on it, just because kits like this you do. Now, I do like it when first thing I see when I open it is a Mylar blanket. These are single use, one time throwaway Mylar blankets because they will never fold back up very well, and they're so thin you're probably going to tear it at some point. But even this, if you are cold, wrap this around yourself, it will retain body heat. And if you build a small fire and hold it a little bit open with the fire coming in, it will radiate that fire heat around you. You want to make sure you're back a good foot from that fire.
So you don't light your
And
blanket.
you want the fire to be down in the ground a little bit so you're not lighting anything on fire, like yourself, or the blanket, or your feet, when that's yourself. But it will, because it's Mylar, Mylar will reflect that body heat and that flame heat back on you, and it could make a huge difference. Freezing to death is a real bad idea.
That, and if you're in a hot area, you could probably put the reflective side out to not burn to death.
Okay. It has a commando saw. I'm not even going to take this out. These are a crapshoot. Some of them are not coarse enough to cut very well. A lot of the times they will break. A lot of times people will use them incorrectly, and that will cause them to break. If you just like put your fingers or put some sticks through and hold it, and you try bending it around what you're cutting, you're going to break it. The way you use one of these so it won't break, one is get a high quality one. Well, as high as they make, because it's wire wrapped around itself. Get a green twig, the diameter of your thumb, that is 2 hand widths longer than the saw is. Put a notch on each end of it, a 7 notch on each end of it, close to the end. Hook one of those 7 notches in this, flex it until you can get the other one in, and then you've got a bow saw. It's not going to be a great saw, but you're not going to cut down trees with it, but you can delimb with it, and you can try to cut pieces down enough to make a shelter. So I would leave that in until I could put something better in its place. This is something that has been showing up all over survival and preparation channels, and in these kits. 99% of the time they're in these kits. You open this up, this spreads apart, and you put this over the neck of a water bottle, and when you clip that, it tightens it up enough under that lip that it'll hold it. Then you have this with a snap and Velcro, and you can put this onto some kind of a pack, and it will carry a water bottle. Oh, Jack has a water bottle. I'm going to be able to show you. Can you bring that up just a hair and make it bigger? There's not quite enough room. That's a lot more than a hair. I still want this to be the main focus, but make it bigger so that I have more room. Better. Okay, you take this, spread it open, and you get it below that lip right there. And then you clip that on. Actually, you should probably do that. So that it's facing this way. Okay. You put that on below that lip right there. Clip this on. Now you can attach that to a belt or a bag or something like that, and it'll hold your water bottle so you can go hands-free. If you are ever in a situation where you are having an unplanned camping and exploration adventure, first thing I recommend you do is find some kind of a walking stick, because a stick is the most versatile tool that you can find laying around. A knife is a more versatile tool, but you need to bring that with you. A stick, you can use it for balance. It's a third point of contact. It'll help you not to slip, not to slide when you're walking through less than perfect terrain. You can use the end of it to dig holes. If something comes around you and is being aggressive, you can smack it in the head with the stick. You'll want a stick about the same height as you, down to minimum standing next to you, your shoulder height. You don't want something taller than you. It's a good idea, whichever is the smaller end, shave it down so that it's a little bit pointy, and that would be your digging stick, and you could also use it to acquire food by poking things really, really hard with it. And like I said, you can use it with your Mylar to make yourself a small shelter, because you can lean it up against a tree and fold your Mylar over it, and you've got yourself a little tent. A walking stick is a great find when you are stuck in the woods. But so if you've got this attached to your belt or your backpack, you have both hands free. You got one on your walking stick and one on something else. What is next? Yikes. Okay, I'm assuming there's some way to make fire in here, because they gave you a bellows, and this is a lot bigger diameter than the bellows that I have. I have several of these. What you would want to do is you want to blow into the big end, put the small end, say this is your tinder and it's just got a little bit of a spark. You put that down there, and you start with really light breath, and as it catches you can put a little bit more breath. But see, this way my beard's not on fire. If I'm down there trying to blow on my tinder, my beard's going to go with it. But I can blow that. I don't know if you can see that. So this actually is this is a surprising, outstanding addition to this kit. And the size of that, I have never seen a collapsible one that's that diameter. I like that a lot. I might actually put that in a different kit than this, because I like that. Okay, a tactical pen. When I did the video on Kubotans, I talked about my tactical pen, and one of the reasons I chose this particular pen is it's got a flat top so that I can put my thumb on it, and it's got a serration down here, which is a DNA collector. I'm going to put mine away because it's not the one we're talking about. This is not the pen you're looking for. This one has a glass breaker that is really freaking pointy up there. I would not want to put my thumb on that. That would be a bad way to spend the day. Or I guess you could put your thumb over this side, which is still not great, but it's a little bit better. It's the pen side. And then use that point as the hit. That could work. Ow. Let's see. It has an ink pen that writes. Actually, that almost looks like gel ink. I think that's actually a decent little ink pen. Is there anything in this end? No, but there's actually a little hole right there. You could put a half of a Tender Quick in there. Is there any other? Nope, that's it. It's a ink pen and a glass breaker and a nose smasher. Okay, put that right there. Not something I would be that worried about putting into a kit, but anyway. Now, here's one of those things, if you don't know how to use this specific setup, it's not going to do you any good. This is a very small fishing kit. And by very small, I mean it's a spool of fishing line, a hook, and a piece of bait, rubber bait. Hand fishing with this is a way different skill than using a fishing pole. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be sitting there fishing. You're going to be trying to figure out a way of getting out. Food is actually much lower on the emergency need list than a lot of people think. And if you're going out anywhere near woods, you should have some kind of granola or gorp or beef jerky or something anyway.
Easy snacks.
But you can go several days without food. You're going to be uncomfortable and unhappy, but before it actually starts to affect your ability to perform, you can go 3 days without eating.
Barring pre-existing medical conditions.
True. But even with medical conditions, your body can survive without food a lot longer than it can without water. Something I haven't seen yet and I'm not seeing in here is a way of purifying water. Hopefully you're carrying a metal water bottle or a water bottle with a nesting cup or something like that. Because in all honesty, having drinkable water is much more important to your body. Dehydration comes on fast, hard, screws with your ability to think, and starts shutting down your body's ability to function. So, I'm going to say right off the top, I'm now near enough to the bottom I can see there is no way to purify or carry water in this. So,
Add something.
this survival kit is lacking that. It's lacking a few other things that I would want, but it's lacking that specifically. Now, it does have a fairly substantial looking ferro rod with a kind of gnarly handle on it and it comes with some cardboard tied to a piece of string.
Cardboard's supposed to be for a timber, or?
Actually, if you shredded it up enough, this cardboard would be decent tinder. I don't know why they had it wrapped like that though. Okay, you've got a scraper. I don't like using the serrated bits of the scraper. Some people do. Your scraper comes with another bottle opener because that 12er is not going to open itself. Alright, the string on that is it is long enough, but barely. So right now, I'm just getting the paint off. I'm not expecting good sparks. Anytime you get a ferro rod, it's going to come painted so that it doesn't corrode, and you've got to get the paint off before you can get a spark. Okay, so the sparker that comes with it works. It's not giving you a ton of room. Actually, the pullback method gives you a little bit better because I prefer when I'm actually using a ferro rod, I place it into what I'm doing and pull back so that my sparks are showering down and I'm not knocking my tinder everywhere with that. But so, this striker does work. But, I'm going to drop it too. Good Lord. Where did it go? Where'd it go?
Under.
I can't get that. Thank you. Where'd I put that other knife? Oh, it's right here in my freaking line of sight. That's why I couldn't see it. It was in front of me. Before I use that one, I'm going to show you what I mean. On my wave, I have lit a lot of fires with this specific wave. I don't want to burn that insulation, but see what I mean? The wave, woo boy, that will throw a damn spark. Will the Gordon throw sparks like the wave does? Because the spine on the Gordon's saw was not as sharp as the spine on the wave. But we'll see. Whoa, yeah. Okay. Another mark for the Gordon, it does throw a damn spark. Did you see that, Jack? And I'm going to say, separate from the Gordon's going back away because this is not its time. You already had your show time. Go back to the green room and watch on the monitor. We're out in the woods. This is the green room. Not all ferro rods are created equally. Some ferro rods, does not matter how you strike them, you're not going to get that kind of explosive spark. Those explosive sparks will catch on your tinder very much better than the little pss, 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 pss sparks. This is a damn good ferro rod, and it's got some diameter, so this is going to be good for a lot of fires. I give this ferro rod a hot damn. The little piece of cardboard was a pain to get off originally, but I'm going to say that just as having an extra piece of tinder that I could shred up, I'm going to leave that on there. I think when I get home, this cord is more like shoestring than it is paracord. I'm going to cut this off and throw it away, and I'm going to put a piece of cord about twice that long on it. Because when you are pulling back, you are getting literally to the here's the end of the cord, and that is stretching it. And I would prefer not to have that restriction in my movement.
Cordage in the way is a pain.
Okay, there are 2 things left in this box. And as I said in the beginning, the box is actually a pretty decent box. It does have a rubber gasket on it. I would not count on it for submersion, but for splashing, rain, stuff like that, I'm comfortable that what's inside the box would stay dry. I would probably pull both pieces of the foam rubber out so that I could put some more stuff in here. This, whoever thought these up really needs to change their beverage of choice, because they were drunk as shit, and these things are about useless. It's like, ooh, it's a sharp edge. Not really. For one, well, it is a chisel edge. You could use it to scrape. If you wanted to scrape, you could use it to scrape. These can openers, see how it does not have the hook? All of my Leatherman tools, most Swiss Army knives, Boy Scout knives going back to the 40s. When you have a can opener, it's got a hook. That hook is so that you can push it in and it will cut the metal back. This does not have a hook. It relies purely on strength to push it through. and it's not going to do a very good cut. So that's nothing. Bottle opener. Why has everything got a damn bottle opener on it? If it's meant to be carried within 6 feet of a human being's pocket, they put a damn bottle opener on it.
Yet people also can't find a bottle opener ever.
Little wrenches, those kind of wrenches are ridiculous. The compass markings. Well, if you have a map and if you know how to use them and your watch, which relies on you having a watch with numbers instead of, or with hands and numbers around it instead of digital, you can determine cardinal directions. At that point, I don't know why you would need the markings on there. This saw, where'd that stick go? Ow, ow, ow.
Cramp? Pinch?
No, it stabbed me. The corner is sharp. The corner is sharper than the blade. Feel that.
Eh. That's dumb.
I was having to hold it by the bottle opener, and that was poking into my thumb, and when I pushed forward, it poked in really hard. This is...
Worse than useless.
The very first thing, if you get this kit, or any kit that has one of these in it, the very first thing you need to do is throw this sumbitch in the trash. It's weight that you do not need to carry, period. Now, on to this last item. Paracord bracelets. For the most part, paracord bracelets are a fashion statement. Yes, there is cordage in here, but the only way to get to it is to cut the melted parts off, and then you have 8 to 10 feet of cordage in something like this. But then you don't have the bracelet to hold this stuff together, so this is now in your pocket. It is a little bit of cordage. I recommend, like I said, this is a base you want to build on. I recommend getting either a spool of bank line, like number 36 bank line. You can carry a hell of a lot of number 6 bank line in a small place because it's thin. Or getting some paracord and making yourself a paracord donut that you can hang off the outside of your pack. I've got right now about 150 feet hanging off of the pack that I carry day to day, and any pack that I'm going into the woods with, I have one of my 300-foot spools. Now 300 feet is paracord. If you need small pieces, you can cut a small piece, pull out the guts, and you've got 7 inner pieces, and so it's actually 8 pieces of cord. 100 feet of paracord is 800 feet of cordage if you don't need the strength of the 550. If you just need lightweight cordage, it equals 800 feet. So get yourself some bank line or some paracord, and if you want to wear this, fine. Let me see. I want to check the size on it because I'm a Sasquatch. I admit I'm a Sasquatch. Everybody says when they got the tread, they had to take 1 or 2 of the things out. Some of them took one of the big ones and one of the small ones because there's a couple small ones. I didn't take anything off that. That's a full size one. It's a full bear. Okay, it's a little bit snug, but it does go around my Sasquatch wrist. Okay, what else is in this? There's a little bitty ferro rod. I have seen people do this, and I'm sorry, it made me giggle. Trying to hold this and do it like this. These come out. So you can hold this and do that. Can you respond to your mom? She's wanting to know when we'll be home. Tell her 30 minutes. So if you do need to use I'm not going to scrape the paint off that because that's so small, you're only going to get a couple of fires out of that before it breaks. I'm not going to scrape the paint off it and waste some. But if you're going to do that, pull that out. The last thing on here is a whistle. No, actually there's a compass. And knowing where we are sitting right now, you have to let it sit for a minute after and not move it, but it's actually going correct. That is north, that is west. That's correct. There's an ocean right there, like less than 2 miles. So I know that's west because it's wet. This actually is pointing the right direction, and it's got that whistle's a lot better than the one on the spoon. For what this is, I'm going to say this is actually pretty decent. Okay, battery died. Our camera is very old. The batteries no longer hold their charge for as long. I was about to say, this kit is actually quite a bit better constructed and better thought out than a lot of the so-called grab-and-go emergency kits. That being said, as I said in the beginning, you're going to need to add to this. This is not a survival kit. This is not even an emergency kit. This is the basis of one. You're still going to need some shelter. This kind of is shelter, but with shelter you need under you, over you, and on you. This is on you or over you. Under you is actually more important than over you because the ground sucks. The ground will draw your body heat away faster than wind and rain will. Hypothermia begins when your core temperature hits 95 degrees. It's supposed to be 98.6 or thereabouts. The early stages of hypothermia hit when your core temperature hits 95 degrees. The ground is never going to be 95 degrees at night with any kind of coverage overhead. It is going to try to normalize the temperature by sucking the heat out of you, and it will do a very good job of it. So you need some way to put something under you, some way to put something over you, which could be this, and some way to put something around you, which could just be your clothing if it's not that cold out, especially if you have this and a small fire. But you're going to need that. You're going to need some way to carry water and some way to purify water. You are going to need more cordage. You're going to need a fixed blade knife in the kit. Doesn't have to be a big one. A 3-inch blade, fixed blade knife will do a lot if you know you're not chopping down trees, you're not trying to homestead, you're trying to get through 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights. A small fixed blade knife will do more for you than you think, but you need to get out and practice with it. Look, I'm not shelling for Dave Canterbury. I've never met the man. I don't have any allegiance with him. I don't agree with everything he says, although I do agree with a lot because we've had similar training in some areas. But his list, well, he compiled a list that has been used in parts from around history of bushcrafting and fieldcraft. His 10 C's list and his augmented 10 C's list are things that are lacking in this that could be added to it. That is a good place to start. I've done a couple videos on 10 C's. Other people have. Everybody's done videos on 10 C's anymore. But get out, make sure that you augment this, make sure that you have everything that you will actually need. Get out in the woods, enjoy yourself, have a good time, practice with your gear, and remember, do something kind for someone. It could be a way of life. It does not need to be expensive. It does not need to be a grand gesture. Carrying a bag for someone whose hands are full, saying something, a nice word to somebody, opening the door for someone when they're going in or out of a building. Just something to give someone a moment of, well, that was nice. If everybody did that, the world would be a better place.
I'd say replace this piece of waste of metal with this piece of metal, a life straw, and a roll of paracord.
A life straw is not the best out there, but I guarantee you it is better than nothing. It will,
For this level of a pack,
for this level of a kit, a life straw literally could be the thing that saves your life. Because if you drink untreated water, you got a 90% chance of getting Giardia or Cryptosporum. There's a couple of others that you can get that all of them equal diarrhea to death. Or bare minimum, stomach cramps, pain, uncomfortable, laying on the ground crying. You do not want to drink untreated water. I like the Sawyer Mini, but get something. A canteen.
boil
your water. A shamag to filter the water before you put it in the canteen so it doesn't have chunks, then you can boil it. Oh, real quick before we go. Like I said, yesterday was my birthday and I had something show up in my mail, which happens from time to time. There was no name attached, no return. Well, the return address was the shipping agency that sent it to me. It just was in a box. And it was the Kaiser Z82. So I added this to my Kaiser collection this morning when I got my mail. And I was smiling. So whoever sent this to me, if it was for my birthday or you didn't know it was my birthday and you're just sending it because you thought it would be funny to send me it, it was great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you to Sean for the kit and the multi-tool. I've been on here way longer than I meant to today, so everybody get out in the woods, enjoy yourself, have a good time. Bye.